Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and we are super excited to have Jeff Pulver with us today. And of course, my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Tchaikovsky. And so, Jeff.
Yes. Hi.
Tell us about you.
Me, I'm just a person listening. I have a thing for countdown timers, and
well, that's good because we have one.
I really enjoy watching the countdown. No matter whether for a minute.
I'm working on a longer version.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Inside joke. We were laughing.
Yeah. But it's nice to see laughter. It's nice to see smiles. It's nice to feel that good energy. So I'm someone who's pro-light, as in and positive energy, and there are times when we need it more than others, and sometimes you just have to remind people to find their light to help guide them. So for me today, countdown timers equals light.
Perfect. I'll let you know when I get that 15-minute one ready.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So you've been busy working on a project.
I have. Well, the project that I've been talking about that I'm working on is I'm bringing together a bunch of people interested in the future of communications, bringing them to New York City. I've been traveling the world literally to find these people, to find sponsors, to discover voices, and to bring together an enchanted community of people who have a vested interest in understanding the future of communications. They're coming from multiple disciplines. And the one thing they have in common is a passion to communicate and a passion to see where that future is. And for some people, it's for business. For some people, it's for inspiration. And certainly, it's an opportunity to get a grasp of what's happening in the world of, a world that communicates, at least is a connected world, right? And a world which enables and cherishes the chance to connect those dots. And so I've been part of this world for 28 years almost. And so I'm really interested in finding people who have a vested interest in the future, who are doing interesting things, and creating an environment so people can listen to conversations and also hang out in a hallway and talk to each other. And for me, the best part of conferences or gatherings or soirees is to show up and connect. And so I actually don't call what I'm doing a conference. It's really a gathering. It's not structured, but I mean, there are no PowerPoints, right? It's all fireside chats, mainly hosted by me, and hallway conversations hosted by everybody else. And it's a couple of days to get together and to just get a sense for what's happening next year and today. And so that's what I've been focused on. And it's brought me to Europe quite a number of times the past few months. And I spent a week in Africa in August. And definitely seeing people and places I had not been to before. And reaffirming things I last saw 15 years ago. So it's sort of like I used to always look to the future. That future happened. So now looking into the new future.
Awesome. And you also have Jeff's place. Is that still going on?
Very much so. Yes, we have Jeff. In fact, because I have to be careful. On November 1st in New York City, we're having a gathering for the people attending the Von Evolution. And our special musical guests include some people who have previously been on Jeff's place, who are joining us from Ireland. And so it's going to be a really nice gathering of voices and souls. Some very soulful music will be shared. Awesome. Jeff's place takes place on Thursdays. Generally speaking, it's from 2 to 4 Eastern. Although most recently we did do a later show. We did like 2 hours later, which was I guess 4 to 6 Eastern, which was better for some of the people participating. But generally speaking, Jeff's place is a virtual music virtual cafe, a place where you meant to be a place that's comfortable for people to come and sing. People from multiple ages. I mean, we've had people in their teenagers to people arguably in their mid to late 80s come and perform. And the music is mostly Americana, folk music. It's music of the people from wherever they may be from. We have a a bunch of Canadians and British and Irish and U.S. singer-songwriters mostly, but we have had people from different places join us as well. So that's taking place, and the conferences or the community of communications is something which is somehow connected to the music. At my events, I've always had to have music events. I find music is sort of that common ground that people can connect to and enjoy in between. You may not agree with someone about a protocol or about a technology, but music is music, and so at the end of the day, it's nice to relax and to be entertained. So I enjoy Jeff's place. We're working unofficially on a documentary of the musicians from Jeff's place. Earlier this year, we started filming some of the artists in Nashville and in Dublin, and we haven't finished yet. I have to actually re-edit what we were doing, but it's one day it will be done. But it's a fun project, just getting to know the artists behind the screen, sort of outside the rectangles, because we use Zoom, so everyone has their rectangle they live in that they're very present in, and when you meet someone outside the box, it's literally outside the box. So
welcome to our rectangle, Jeff.
I see they need a more vertical, so we're but yes.
We have a rectangle, but it's just here.
Yes.
Awesome. So we should say hello to a few people. We've got some awesome people on here, I see. We have Bella is on joining us. Hi, Bella. How are you? And we have Fogo Pogo. Hey, Kaylee. And Lalima, thank you for joining us. And I believe that's Monica on there in our group. Let's take a look here. Where are we? Is that Monica on there? Amazing ones.
Lauren joined us. Oh my goodness.
Yes, Lauren's on here. She's next. Hi. Thanks for joining us, Lauren. We're stealing your bro for a little bit. And we have Hector as well. So thank you for joining us. It's awesome having you guys here. And so we usually go through and we do our usual update. So Jen, what is in our transits today?
Yeah, okay. So we are just starting in on a new one. We're in the solar gate 32. So this is the gate of duration, the gate of continuity. In the gene keys, we're looking at moving from the shadow of failure to the gift of preservation and to the city of veneration, right? So the idea here is the energy, the archetype of the guardian. We're looking at ancestral reverence. This is really about getting in contact with that kind of wisdom, right? And being able to connect with the rhythms of Mother Earth. So, we're really wanting to, look at what is worth preserving and what isn't, right? What are we ready to let go of? And it's very much in line with the energy of this season, right? What are we willing to drop and release? What do we want to lay for the coming, spring when it happens again, right? Really honoring the cycles and what that looks like. And a big piece that comes up for us during this particular transit is this myth of failure, right? Or the fear that comes up with it, right? And how that fear impacts us, right? So there's this idea that we get caught up in this kind of victimhood of kind of the myth of our own success, right? Like, what does that look like, right? This illusion that we have of what that is. And then we get caught in the fear of not achieving it, right? And so what happens is, on one side, we can actually cause ourselves through the fear to, that choking sensation, right? Of stopping ourselves and holding ourselves back and, isolating and keeping ourselves away from, community and moving forward and the things that will really help us to be able to recognize what we need, because we're too afraid of that failure. Or on the other side of it, in a more kind of reactive way, we look at that self-destructive pattern, right? And the escalation that can come from that. And so the idea here is, sorry, I keep trying to move her, but she's
This
determined
is
to
our
walk
mascot.
in that. Is really being able to recognize, Richard Rudd says the quote, true success means no longer being ruled by the concept of success and failure, really being able to, listen to the greater wisdom, and being able to kind of connect with that and connect with our spirit and being guided by that and being guided by not what necessarily we look at as an individual success or failure, but what is going to be worth preserving for the whole, right? What is it that's going to move the community forward? And so I love, Jeff, what you're talking about in this communication piece and, looking at how important it is for us to connect and to communicate and all, because it's very much in line with the energies right now in this knowing, when to pause, when to take stock, when to assess, when to move forward. And, it's interesting because in the I Ching, which I was talking about with Gerald earlier today, the gate of duration, it's thunder over wind. So when you think about that, what comes to me is that rolling thunder that just keeps on going, right? And it's like this idea of what is going to be sustainable and what is going to bring that message across, right? And move it forward. And so I just, in light of what you were talking about, I think it's just such a beautiful thing to be talking about this transit too, because it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing with your message right now, is bringing this forward and bringing it out. And there's just a beautiful kind of connection between that and the transit right now.
Thank you for
Awesome.
sharing that. Wow.
Yeah, that's great. And we have a couple more people that have joined us. So hello, Garnet. Thank you for joining us from England.
Hello.
And we have Tarot Your Way. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
And we have one of our new regulars. We have Gerald.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. So for the Schumann, we've had some spikes in the last few days. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been feeling them. They've been pretty intense. Today we actually had one that was up at 52. So keeping in mind it's supposed to be. It's usually the baseline 7.8 hertz, and so we had a bit of a spike up to 52 today. I think it's actually gone higher than that in the last few, but that is sort of what the chart is saying at the moment. And when we look at, is it gone now? No, there it is. I'll just share my screen quick so you can see this. There we are. So you can see these big spikes here.
Oh, wow.
That we had today and yesterday. And here. So these are bigger spikes in the Schumann than we've had on and off. Last week was a little bit quieter, but we've definitely had lots today. All the white here is definitely high spikes. So we've got lots going on in that. Not as much in the solar storm place as we were having.
I checked spaceweather.com before coming here. So
yeah, I just
looks
have it
to be
on my
a calm week, relatively speaking. I know that, and we will have some solar flares next week, and we should have some CMEs relatively soon. But right now, mostly quiet as we speak. So
that's another hobby of yours, isn't it?
Amateur radio, speaking to people all over the world, is a continuum of what I was talking about, since it was my inspiration to get in there, and really it's the ability to connect with people. So I do look at the radio. I look at the astro weather to better understand the likelihood of being able to make a connection with limited equipment. We're not all broadcast stations, but the thing for me though is that the next event before the event I'm doing in November, next week I'm going to a gathering in Miami, and I'll be giving a quick 20-minute talk on intuitive entrepreneurship, leveraging premonitions, energy, and self-love in company building.
Awesome.
And I think that if people actually can embrace self-love as a principle for a business, in their business, and not do it in the end looking backward, but do it actively, to do things in the active, in the state of now, in the flow, it's much more effective. And a couple of weeks ago when I was in London, I spoke about building a business based on premonitions, and just going with that flow where you're looking to innovate, you're looking to figure out the future, and you have to have the strength to stand up and be alone at times, because innovation doesn't happen when everyone agrees with you. Innovation happens when you see that future and you speak that truth. And so I was asked to give a command performance of that talk on Thursday. I think it's on Thursday this week. So when I found out, so I was tempted to go back to London to give the talk to this large group, but when I found out that half their team is going to be in, I think in Budapest, it's like, okay, if half the team's going to be in Budapest, then I could stay where I am, because showing up in London won't really be that effective. But the idea anyway of letting intuition lead a business and to help drive creativity, and you look for sources for how that connects people. There's most people at a public gathering that I run into are not willing to publicly admit that they have premonitions or that they're led by intuition. But if you can create a safe space, or I know somehow in a public event, I created a safe space among strangers. And by the middle of my talk, I got people to admit that, yes, they also listen to their premonitions, or at least they are guided by their premonitions and they follow their intuition. And I didn't really have any direct talks with people. It was more like hand waving or taking polls from the audience. But I was able to get a rather timid, a rather proper English group of folks to open up a little bit in a way that they probably didn't realize they were going to prior to the commencement of the talk, because of all the talks they had at this particular event. This had to be the most personal, most vulnerable thing we did. And that to me is a strength, to be able to
Absolutely.
admit to those things, and to understand how the space weather, if you will, the astro plane affects how we do things and our effectiveness to get things through. And really, for me, to communicate is everything, right? Because it's people may be feeling things. They may not realize there are people on other parts of the world, or even their same city, that have the same feelings. But finding places where they can share that, where they can connect to it, where they could be who they are as opposed to pretend to be somebody else because they think they need to be someone else to be accepted, and allow themselves to just be, is a very powerful discovery of self.
Yeah, I watched a video actually this week about how the vibration of authenticity is pretty close to that vibration of love. It's up there, and so it's powerful to just be who you are and accepting of all of that. I think all three of us have had to do that at one point, to step out.
Okay, maybe. Okay, sure.
I believe we've had conversations.
Perhaps so, yes.
So yeah, we've all had to kind of step into our authentic selves, because we've all had those 3D kind of businessy jobs and then moved into combining the two.
The nice part is that it's really hard to fake being authentic, if you think about it. So when you're around other people that are authentic, you can open up a channel to those people, and you can call others out at the same time. So if Tesla, the person, not the company, got it right, that life is about energy, vibration, and frequency, finding the frequency that other people are at and connecting with them at that level, while collectively, hopefully, keeping things at a high vibration for everything else, opens up a duplicity which allows multiple great things to happen. Because you could have, if you're, anyone who's ever gone to a concert, music concert, for example, if you're sitting in the audience, everyone in that audience is on a different frequency, most likely. However, they can collectively feel the energy of the show prior to it opening up, the anticipation of the band coming on stage and the singer, and then energy that comes forward during the performance, right? And the person on stage has the ability to be on multiple frequencies at the same time, transmitting to where they need to be heard. And we all do that subconsciously without any really activations other than being present. And when you can learn to master that, even though it's very subconscious, you'll also become super effective in being heard and being felt, and in some ways being able to activate massive amounts of people to connect. If just learn the frequency, not of just of love, but to connect, of connection.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe being authentic and being real in those moments accelerate the ability for you to connect. Because if you're on stage and no one is connecting with you, you can feel that immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
And while personal insecurities might might drive you to ask people, how did I do? Generally speaking, you know how you're doing because you get real time feedback, whether people mean to or not. You just get that, right? And so
That's true.
there's that feeling of understanding. So, and this all comes back to being present and being aware, and then allowing that energy to be a sort of a not so secret source of inspiration for you and indicator for you and drive for you. And as you speak, you could find that average frequency to speak into or speak to everybody. If you could be on 100,000 frequencies at the same time, so be it. Some people can just do that.
Well, we are, multidimensional beings, so we're
There,
capable of that.
yes.
It's like holding space, right, in all those frequency levels, so that you can
Right, and
connect.
it's one of the whenever I do give public talks, I generally speak in front of a photograph I've taken of the Milky Way because at night, for those people who are fortunate to see the celestial center of the Milky Way and bathe in ancient celestial light, they may not realize, but they're actually experiencing light that could be up to 10 billion years old and light that's seconds old, and sort of that you're at a place where time and space come together. And that energy is pretty overwhelming at times, but it also gives you a chance to be centered and to be present. And it's sort of a message because during daylight, when it's not raining, when you're outside in the sun, you're on this planet known as Earth. You have most of the light comes from the sun. However, if you go, I think 6 or 7 decimal places to the right, you will find that much percentage of lights coming from other stars across this galaxy. And it's just at night when you're in dark skies, you can actually see the light from many galaxies, billions of stars, all coming to you
Amazing.
at once, and that sort of helps you understand where we're at. I mean, there are people watching this show; they think they're sitting down. They don't realize they're on a planet traveling 500,000 kilometers an hour through the Milky Way galaxy. Right now, it feels like they're not moving at all, maybe, right? But that's all relative. So, if you think
Now that you
about,
say it,
but it's
now I'm dizzy.
you're used to this, right? Your normal is moving 500,000 kilometers an hour. If we were suddenly to stop in space, trust me, everybody would feel that.
Yes,
That is,
indeed.
it's like you'd feel that. You don't have to be so subtle. You would feel it, but because it's part of our norm, or that we have a certain type of gravity that's keeping us again centered and on Earth. So it's those subtle shifts. So when you get the astro weather forecasts,
Yep.
and you're wondering why is that affecting me, it's because you're hypersensitive to what's happening because you're on this planet, and you're not alone. You're not wearing a spacesuit, so that you don't have any protection whatsoever for any shifts in that energy, and that's all real. That's
Yeah.
and people may have, other cultures will have other words for it, but if you're waking up and you're feeling heavy, or if you're feeling like you have to Google to see what happened in the world today, it's because your intuition kicked in and said, hey, by the way, 8,000 kilometers from here, there was an earthquake. Oh, there was this, there was that, because we are all connected at some level, some more than others. Perhaps people will admit to that, perhaps not, I don't know, but there's a way you can connect if you could find that frequency, the frequency of love, the frequency of connectivity, the frequency of being. And that's really why I use radio, not just as an analogy, but I actually use it every day when I can, because it's, for me, the channel I choose to communicate with. And so it's fun. It's sort of, actually, my fun is that, and it's, you get to be a person, and you get to be, a name, and I have, maybe not the deepest conversations, but nonetheless, they are conversations. And I
They
kind of
don't
like
have
that.
to be deep, just authentic, I think.
They're all
Really,
definitely authentic.
we
You know,
just have to be authentic to
the,
reach people.
the other challenge I think we have as people outside the spiritual realm is the fact that 20, I don't know, 25, 28 years into this internet revolution, one thing that's changed is, as far as our habits is 25 years ago, if somebody rang your phone, you generally answered it. And generally you even knew the identity of who was calling you. Perhaps it was planned, perhaps it wasn't, but you generally knew that if you said hello on the other end of the phone, it'd be a person.
Mhm.
We're now living at times where most people don't answer the phone. And it's not because they stop liking talking, it's because we don't have authenticity as far as how communication originates. And
That's
that's a
true.
fundamental shift when you look into the future where things are going. If we're living in a world where our communication systems cannot be trusted because we lost trust along the way, that's a challenge. And that's a real true issue that some of this innovation brought into this system, because it's something really nice to know that someone you love is calling you, not someone
Hmm.
pretending to be someone that you love is calling you. And you have all this other stuff that's happening alongside of it. So that's getting rid of the bugs, getting rid of the bad actors, getting rid of the people looking to do bad things is a
Yeah.
true challenge these days. And and I think the world becomes a better place when we could trust again the ability to answer a call and to
Mhm.
connect on a meaningful, heartfelt level at all times. And it's one of those things that I have solutions to, but they're radical. Um, and we'll see what happens. But I do think that we sometimes need to use technology to solve the technology problems that were introduced. It's kind of sort of it gets a little loopy that way, but but understanding, your space weather, it does
Hmm.
affect you, and depending upon who you are, sensitivities do matter, right? And when you're having a conversation with someone on this planet, knowing what's happening above you also matters. It's these are the variables that a lot of people don't take into consideration before doing something big,
Hmm.
like opening your door and walking outside.
That can be interesting, especially depending on the space weather.
Yeah, and it's that awareness too, right? It's just
Hmm.
being aware and cognizant of it, and to the extent that you're empathic, understanding other people's feelings and understanding what they're going through, so that before you make assertions or assumptions, understand that maybe these people are more sensitive to what's happening today than you are, and
Yeah.
that's also sometimes missed by people.
Yeah. And that sensitivity extends to, the collective, because we are all connected. So, things that are happening all over the world, um, that we feel that too, on a
Yes.
deeper level. And, so we do need to just be compassionate with each other, you
Sounds
know?
simple, but in practice, not so simple.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So we've got some comments here. So we
Oh,
have Sylvia was talking about the Schumann because it had been a little flatter for a while. And Gerald says, Jeff, my father was a
oh,
ham radio operator.
hello there.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And then we have, I believe it's Monica. Oh, no, it's Estella. Estella's on saying, love the subject.
Mhm.
And Gerald, yes, it helps to understand what's going on around us, the seen and the unseen. Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Because
Yes.
it does, in terms of emotional stuff that comes up for people, if there's a lot of angst in the collective, people are much more likely to be emotional, or have an emotional response to things that they might not have otherwise. And so that's where we have to be that sort of empathic and compassionate and show understanding and forgiveness in terms of relationships and stuff
All right,
too.
Tanis,
So.
I think you do that naturally and organically. So you don't have to show anything. It's all you.
Well, thank you. I try. But in terms of the collective, if we can, the general population, if we can start to do that, I think that's going to go a long way to helping us,
Yeah.
move through this time. which is not an easy one.
Well, and as you guys were talking about with that authenticity and all, the more we are able to hold that space for ourselves as we're walking through it, the more we hold space for others to be able to embrace that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is true. And it's, and it's something which, affects us all the time too. It's just a matter of being, the more aware we are, the more we can do too. And it's really not to assume, but it's to feel. Yeah. And then of course, find ways for others to feel comfortable in your presence. Because if they start thinking that you're reading their mind, or otherwise vibing with them in a way which scares them, it gets a little scary at times, depending upon
the barrier goes up and they're like, no.
No, I already got you. It's okay. We can read Jen's mind, but it's okay. We'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, no, it is important. And I know we've talked about that before too, right? Like sometimes we get messages or we get understandings of things and we're only meant to hold space for it. We're not meant to say anything with it or do anything with it, right? We're not meant to, bring it out or call it out. We're only meant to just hold that space and have compassion in that moment, and that's it.
Right, but occasionally some of us might get a little outside the box thinking and take actions which could get someone in trouble. So it's
Sounds like there's a story there for you, Jeff.
Nothing which I can share so publicly, but being aware
later
of other people's challenges, and finding a way to comfort them in a meaningful way without outing them is something which I'm sure we've all done before. As well as just understanding that someone may be having a bad day, someone may be they just need a hug, or they need something, although need permission to hug these days, but to be able to at least respectfully be kind and considerate and to do what you can to help them through a situation, or at least acknowledge their presence. There are times because there are people that feel like they're alone, there's no one else, but they're seen. And just acknowledging their presence is all that's needed. You may have a message which you don't have permission to send. There's the idea of we all have a free will, and there's a law of readiness, and not everyone's ready to receive the message which you think you have for them. It could be a timing thing. It's not like they're in denial. It's just no, they're just not ready to hear you. Come back in 18 years. And so there's that.
Hopefully a little sooner. I might forget the message by then.
But there are people that are going to reject the message until they're ready to receive it. And then there's a free will for them to hear you, as well as your will to receive it, right? And so you may want to change somebody, but no one, it's very hard to change anyone, particularly if they don't want to. And so engaging in free will and engaging in readiness and engaging in activities which enable others to prosper by helping them with their own enlightenment and at least acknowledging them, right? So you may get a message or two or 17 and figure out what to do with it, or at least encourage other people to hear what's coming to them, even if they think you're effing nuts, because until they go through that same process and they realize, oh no, maybe I'm the crazy one. Not I, they, or we. I don't know. It's a collective we. It just comes down to where are you listening, what are you watching, and how are you feeling, and then having a safe space to express those feelings, or other indicators which to you mean that you're being seen or felt by others, that you cannot necessarily see, but are otherwise present, because your eyes have a certain frequency range that allows you to see. Your ears have a frequency range that allows you to hear. This is why when you're younger, you generally can hear dog whistles. When you get older, you don't. But there are many other sensors that you have that enable you to process what's around you and everything. If some people are more sensitive to certain vibrations than others, and with those vibrations comes the ability to perceive and to understand and to process. So that if you're speaking or you're seeing things that others are not able to see or process, that's because you have a gift to have your radio operates at a frequency range outside what someone else does. Doesn't mean you're different so much. It just means that you have extended range. Deal with it or not.
I recommend dealing with it because, when you don't, it's way less fun.
Sure.
When we accept, it's good.
But it's also recognizing that it doesn't always resonate with everybody, and that's okay.
Oh, for sure.
And being okay.
Yeah,
well, no matter who we are, we don't always resonate with everyone, right?
Exactly.
And nor do you have to necessarily. I mean, some people feel compelled they have to always resonate or they have to be heard. And there's sometimes things are said, and again, they make sense much later because your message is not ready for the audience that you have. And you may have put it out in the collective and it'll be received when it's ready, but it's not, the timing is off. And well, I'm not going to say you're off because you're sharing the message in your flow, right? And the thing is, what a lot of people take a lifetime to recall, to realize is that, the past has happened, the future is not guaranteed. All you have is the moment. And it's when you connect those moments, when you connect those moments together, you create these memories. Most people have memories. It's the memories of that get interwoven together that they'll remember. Some moments do last forever. Other moments are just moments. It's how they connect the dots. And just remember that only dead fish go with the flow. So I never would encourage people to flow with anyone else, but with themselves. And if you happen to co-flow with someone else because it's meant to be, great.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to find your own flow. Don't be afraid to be independent, because not everyone has to be a salmon going upstream, nor, with a school of fish going downstream. Be who you are, and allow yourself to be a misfish if needed. Be someone who, have the strength to be you.
Be a misfish.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love it. I love it.
So we have a couple comments here. So Kaylee says, I stand by you. You have to be odd to be number one. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be number one, you have to be odd in order to make a difference, I think, in the world.
You would
right?
be odd to be number 3, number 5, number 7,
Yeah. But I think it's coming back to that authenticity piece, right? We're not authentic when we're fitting in specifically just to fit in, right? If we fit in because we happen to fit in, that's one thing. And if we resonate, we resonate. And if we don't, we don't. And it's all okay.
Yeah.
If we're being authentic to what works for us.
I absolutely agree. I years ago, I was at an unstructured conference, speaking about being a misfish of sorts, or a misfit at the time, but I think the fish in the stream is better.
Danielle's laughing at our misfish.
I realized that I was in a room. I counted 15 people around me. Everyone admitted to being a misfit or misfish except one person who his life was perfect. Then we realized he was a misfish.
That's how it works.
At that moment in time, we had everything to get. We were on the same plane, and that person stood out because he couldn't understand what that we were relating to, because their high school experience was apparently nothing like ours, and so it was a very fascinating conversation that we had amongst us in front of a stranger.
That's
even
awesome.
though we're all otherwise strangers.
We're all a little strange. It's all good.
Yeah. Yes.
Kaylee says, "Be a courageous misfish." Perfect.
Yes.
Creageous is a word that came out of my mouth. It was like a slip, and it's become a thing. So it's it's that. Courageously creative, or being courageous.
Yes.
Yeah.
In other words, just be Tanis. I get it.
Well, I try. I don't know.
It's all good, and
I'm just me.
And Jennifer, your cat just has to get the attention sometimes. Just.
She does. She does. She needs to be in the midst of.
Her cat has her own webpage, so
no doubt.
She likes the limelight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She totally does. She totally does.
So,
but
Danielle Allard is on. Actually, she's one that I introduced you to, Jeff.
Yes.
So it's great that she's on to say hi and
hello.
Good to see you. Awesome. She's an artist and has a lot of time on TikTok and no, not TikTok, Twitch, over the holidays and over the pandemic time. She started a lot of that. She's also a prof though at a college and everything. So
Wow.
Yeah. So welcome, Danielle.
Wow. Yeah. So you guys, you had your Thanksgiving already.
We did. When is yours?
Oh, and then end of November-ish, a month, literally about a month after yours, but on a Thursday.
On a Thursday. That's a weird
On a
day.
Thursday, yes. Somehow we have Thursday is I don't know why. It's if you can celebrate Thanksgiving in October, do so, please.
Yeah. It was beautiful here. We had a good day.
So that
Good
must mean
weekend.
that holiday season has already started in Canada.
Oh yeah, they put out the decorations and all that. Yeah.
See,
Although we have Halloween first, so
yeah, Halloween first, and then holiday, and then
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about holiday season. Sometimes the spirituality gets mixed in, and sometimes misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many emotions that are running at the same time. And again, it's for me, it's the learning to understand your vibration, your frequency, your messages, and holding on to them. Because when people get together as groups, there's at times a desire to find a common frequency.
Mm-hmm.
But to do so, to fit in, if you will, to give up your misfitness means that you may actually give up something you cherish. And I would encourage you to hold on to what you believe in and let that person or group come to your frequency. You
Mm-hmm.
should not have to be the person to let go of what you believe in order to fit in. Because frankly, having that independence is sometimes all you ever have. So why give it up? And and if the other challenging part is that if you go to a gathering and you're amongst a group of people that have a one-word description for a job they have, and you need more than 5 words to describe what you do, change the subject. Never actually answer the question, what do you do? Just be
True.
you.
Yeah.
And if they need to know more, then you'll tell them offline, or never answer that question, because in some ways I think we are all tofu, that we take on the characteristics we need, and it changes depending upon who we're around.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people do. I think that's part of Jen and I talk about that with the human design, that there's some that are much more undefined than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee's teasing
Well, I
me.
mean, everything that we're talking about today is so aligned with human design and the idea of really truly being authentic to who you are and not having to fit anybody else's idea of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the authenticity also goes with vulnerability too.
Yes.
Because if you could be authentically vulnerable, then you're offering basically a universal connector, like a blood. I guess blood type O is useful for anyone, if I'm not mistaken. So you're sort of putting out your universal connector to the world to connect to you. If you could be authentically, vulnerable. Vulnerability for me, by the way, as I've learned, is a strength, not a weakness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you allow yourself to be authentic, the authentic you, the real you, and do so in a way that offers a chance for others to connect, and not criticize, not necessarily be critical or otherwise demeaning, but just connect. That could be the start of a very beautiful connection, which has its own life, its own chance. But authenticity matters, because people don't realize that when they're being fake, we can flag them as being fake. It's not just being a fake friend on Facebook or on LinkedIn or someplace. It's about just being fake, and it becomes intuitively obvious.
Yeah.
We could choose to burn energy and deal with those people, but I advocate, your friend, people who are actually fake, just burn them.
Okay, we don't advocate violence on this
No,
show.
no.
Just as
I just meant that from a sense of, sometimes when I'm really busy, I need clarity, I need chaos. I need the ability to, sometimes my best innovative ideas come to me when I'm absolutely flat out busy.
Yeah.
And then there are times I just get bored, particularly when I can't fall asleep. So I look at people who friended me over the years on different social networks, and I realize, it's been 16 years and we've never connected. Chances are we probably never will. So I delete those relationships. Now, occasionally someone comes back to me and says, "Why did you unfriend me?" And I don't know. I just ignore that at that point, because it's just for me, it's just editing. It's like a tree, right? If you want a tree to grow, you sometimes have to cut off a branch or cut off leaves so that it could actually get stronger in the base. And so I'm hoping my social network grows. I don't mean to hurt anyone. I meant burn their. I use it as a burn list, but
We
it
know.
was.
We're just with you.
We have a few comments.
Because
Just
we
burn
said
them.
no.
Nope.
You
Oh,
be
no,
your
just burn
authentic
them, no.
Misfish self. You go with it. You burn it.
Keely gasps.
Oh no, yes, no, it's
Some
No,
people,
but I-
some of us have past life triggers with this.
Oh,
You
no.
know?
yeah, all the witchy in us is like,
All our witches in us. It's
stop
okay. I've done my
burning.
healing on that lifetime.
oh boy. Okay.
Enough burning people.
Different words. Okay, different words. Noted. Okay, fine.
Poor
Maybe
Jeff.
it's time to pour blood or something. I don't know.
Oh,
We also had a comment that Amanda really likes your tofu. And she said apology. She means an analogy. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
You know,
but
I love what you're saying though about the vulnerability piece. And we've talked before too about expectation, and I think there's such a connection here about we can be vulnerable and recognize that we can be that without having this expectation that the other person is going to show up for us
right.
in a certain way, but we can still hold space to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and authentic.
And that, by the way, is a lifelong. That's a life lesson, right? That if you get a hold of that sooner rather than later, that is the truth that you sometimes get way too late in life. That being the true you, the real you, is all that was ever needed.
Yeah.
And to even be in a situation where you can speak your truth and act in a way that's again who you are, not the way that you perceive the person you're talking to wants to see. Because because holiday time, sometimes you run into people you went to high school with, depending upon your age, people you went to high school with or college with, or just cousins that you haven't seen forever, and for some reason there are people who will regress back to the way they were at the age they were at the last time they saw that person, but yet they've actually changed a lot over the years and they became a different person. And it's like I would just encourage people to hold on to who they are. Don't be the person they used to be, because that can be a trigger. And more importantly, you can end up setting yourself up to get hurt because you know what happens next. And you don't have to necessarily be a psychic to understand that. It's just if you go down that path and you changed your habits and you're setting yourself up to be vulnerable, to be hurt again. No, I would suggest no, don't do that, and find a way to be the you that you've become and hold on to that, because that takes forever to get to. And past lives notwithstanding, it's just an understanding of who you are, and to hold on to that, because I think that is, people forget that part, is who you are matters, right? It matters to you. And then that also goes back to the other idea of self-love, right? Of being able to take the time out of your busy day and to do the things needed for you. And during the holiday season, particularly, I wish for the benefit of everyone listening, there's an app that can be part mind reader that secretly understands the gift you truly want. You're maybe embarrassed to buy for yourself, but has a budget, and will go on into your shopping platforms and purchase that gift for you with your permission. Because it's very hard to get a true gift for yourself, because you'll never press the buy button yourself. But it's something you've been eyeing all year. Your friends don't know what it is, or the person who may buy you a gift may not know what it is, but you do. But you're never going to tell them. So there should be a way to use artificial intelligence in a good way to get you the present that you'll never admit to having, but makes you so happy having it. Or for that matter, it could be a trip to go on, or it could be anything really, but it's just having the confidence to get yourself the little things. Or if you happen to be a fan of ice cream or something, get yourself that ice cream, or get yourself to something. Or if you, for me, I've discovered it's the tiny little things that matter just as much as the big things. And when you can find in your busy day time to edit in a little bit of time for you, it helps give you the energy boost you need later on in that day or later on in that week to get through stuff which you otherwise would have to be challenged pushing through. And it just happens, right?
Yeah, I think that you have a weakness for ice cream. Or at least
I
a story for ice cream, right?
Oh, I have many stories for ice cream. I heard one of them rehashed this weekend. I had to be, I don't know. My sister was 6. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. Um, I know my mom. I mean, she loved ice cream, and there was a
Mhm.
snowstorm in New York City, an ice storm, a famous one. And yeah, Lauren and I think we were sent out by my mom to go to Baskin Robbins, which was, I mean, we're kids. We're 8, 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old. My mom sent us out in a snowstorm. It took hours for us to walk a few blocks to get to this ice cream store, which amazingly was still open. And we had no telephones. We had nothing. When we went out, I think we took a dog with us, and we came back hours later. But my mom got her ice cream.
Mom loves her ice cream.
She definitely did. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true. The pink sport spoon from Baskin Robbins is one of the things that's just very symbolic. But yeah, my mom definitely liked her ice cream, and
Oh, wow.
when in doubt, there's ice cream. It just
Yeah.
it doesn't matter the quantity as much, just the symbolism of it, and it is
Set
it is
intention.
crazy. But I see in the comments from about
The high school reunion.
about high school. Let me tell you about high school. A couple of, by the way, depending upon your age and your reunion, if you're with someone, don't take them. Doesn't if you're married or have a partner, leave them behind. Don't take them to
Yeah,
your reunions. They're gonna be bored to heck, and
yeah.
you're not there to entertain them. They're there. You're there to entertain yourself. And I can tell you when I went to my 20th high school reunion, I finally felt accomplished enough or secure enough to go see some girls who I liked in high school, and they were kind of mean to me. And then I said to myself, high school was over 20 years ago, and I just left.
Yeah.
So they haven't grown up, is basically.
No,
No.
or again, what happened
Young
was I think they
souls. They're young
regressed
souls.
back to being teenagers
Yeah,
Right.
during
yeah.
the during the reunion that we were probably this was an hour into the reunion, and I just realized, why am I here? I, I I knew why I was there. I wanted to see some other people, and no, I ran into people who I thought I could be nice to or kind to, and nope, they were not nice. So I never became their Facebook friend, and
No, no. Going back to that, you were right. This card came to mind when you were talking about Facebook.
breaking barriers.
Yeah. So all of those
It's beyond
cutting back.
limitation. Yes.
I talk about cutting back
Oh wow!
those
Look at
things,
that.
right? In order
Very
to bring in new growth. When I have
yes.
this card come
Mhm.
up,
Wow.
it reminded me of that. So
Love
cutting
that.
all of that back just to allow that growth to come up is
Wow. I love
yeah.
that. See,
Mhm.
we somehow tie these words together. It's
It just
magic.
happens. It's magic.
It just happens.
There
Mhm.
we go. And we've got Gerald likes the time to edit in self-care. We
Mhm.
like that.
Yes,
Haley has a wish list going.
of course. Yeah, wish lists are nice, and self care very important. And really, it's no matter who you are, no matter where you go, it's to edit in time for you.
Mhm.
It just and by the way, whether it's holiday season or not, don't forget to call someone and say I love you to them. Don't wait until it's too late.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
There's certain things I would recommend never holding back on.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, a person who did PR for me, we had a I don't know 10-year working relationship, more than that, probably by this time I was 15 years into it. And I was away one weekend, and tragically, I got a phone call while I was away that my friend was eating dinner, and someone had a heart attack and drove a car right into the restaurant and killed him. The driver died, and my friend died.
Oh my
He didn't see it coming.
goodness.
Literally, his back was to the window. And that's when I realized I loved the guy, but I never said out loud to him, Alan, I love you.
Yeah.
I went to
Yeah.
his funeral, but I couldn't speak, so I ended up hosting my own memorial service for him with some friends. And then I had to wait until 2 months after he passed to publicly say I love you. And so that was in June of 2016. So I've since then realized, you know what? Don't wait to say I love you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, if you love someone, say it. It's
Yeah.
like love someone, you could set them free too, but at the same time, acknowledge their presence and
Yeah.
and, and don't hold back on your feelings and allow yourself to express yourself, and don't be triggered by what happens later. Don't live with
Mhm.
regrets. Be who you are. Be you.
Yeah. And, I think people get caught up in thinking that if you say, I love you, they're going to think it's like a romantic thing. But, there's so many different kinds of love,
So many,
you
so
know?
many. Yeah, I could say I love the show, but is it a romantic encounter? I don't think so. I think I love the show.
Yeah, we're not a dating show, Jeff. It's
No,
okay.
And in this square is
yeah,
But we do love you, Jeff.
I appreciate that. I love you guys too.
yeah, but we hold back so much because of, our own insecurities and fears and worry about what the other person is going to do or say or how it's going to be perceived, and right. But that, again, coming back to what you were saying about being able to be vulnerable and being
Right.
able to be authentic and allowing ourselves to just put ourselves out there. And this is it. This is me. This is raw and real.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
who you are. This
Yeah.
is you.
Well, and that's why Jen and I started this show.
Mhm.
We both were like terrified to start a podcast, and we're like, you know what? We're just going to go on and we're just going to be us and see what happens.
Wow.
That's
Well, yeah, you
what
have to understand. If you quickly look at the name of the show, I thought it was called Pillow Talk. Okay.
I know.
That was
And
kind
yes, it was on purpose because
True.
Pillow Talk is very authentic, right?
True.
and intimate. It's an
And
intimate
intimate.
conversation where
Yeah.
you are authentically you and you're vulnerable and you share your
Yes.
life and you share what's going on. And that's what we
Yeah.
wanted this to be.
And this is what it became. So good on you.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Well,
Wow.
I can't believe it's been an hour.
It's
Can you
because
believe it?
you hold time very well, and time stops as we speak and get together.
It does. There is no time really,
No,
time
it's
is just a human construct.
It truly is just a human concept. Yes.
So, anything that you would like to pass on as a closing remark or closing share?
My
Feels like a
closing
better
share
word.
is to remember who you are, to hold on to that. Don't be afraid to change in the moment. Be present though for yourself and for those you love. Don't be afraid. Worrying truly is a waste of time. Understand that there are moments for you that you have no control over what's going to happen. So learn to let go of that fear and embrace what you can control and own it. And with that, become the person you're meant to be. And while you're tempted to pretend to be the person you think others want you to be you. There's only one you. Own it. Be it. And remember, don't go with the flow.
Be a misfish.
Be a misfit. Yeah.
A courageous misfish. That's going to be our title today, Courageous Misfish Day.
Courageous. Yeah, exactly. Misfish. Yes, love it.
I love it. I love it.
Jen, anything you want to share?
I love it. I guess in light of, the energy for this week that we're going into, exactly that. If we can embrace the fear that comes up within us and we can say, you know what? Yeah, this is here. But instead of succumbing to that, I am going to work to transcend it. I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable in the face of this fear, and I'm going to be courageous or creageous and be authentically my misfish. I'm going to honor that and allow myself. Then this is where veneration comes from, where we can really step up that ladder and go, I'm going to be me. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what any other shoulds come at me.
Don't
Right?
shoot yourself to death.
I'm going to honor what it is to be me in this moment. And I'm going to have compassion and grace for that. And that's really where, we begin to rise that vibration and we begin to embrace who we are. And, and I love using all of the misfish and everything else that you used to really bring that home in the transits that we're in right now.
Beautiful. So on that note, we wish you all, you beautiful, courageous misfits, an awesome day, an awesome week. And we thank you so much for being with us, Jeff. We're so honored to have you and share your wisdom.
I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to your guest. Grateful to you too. To the folks listening, and I look forward to joining you again in the near future.
Absolutely.
Love to all of you.
Anytime. Lots of love, everyone.
Lots of love.